Hi, Felina here with Skylar. And we want to start off today talking about the passing of Nelson Mandela and what just an incredible individual he was. And Skylar's put together some notes and thoughts on his life and some of the amazing things we can learn from his life. So what did you dialogue about on this?
So there are so many things with someone so incredible. How do you really narrow it down just to 4 points? But we've been talking and really kind of fleshed it out, and I think the 4 things that really stuck out the most would have to be his sense of humility, number 1. So starting with that. So a couple of years ago, actually, when Nelson Mandela was released from prison, Oprah Winfrey had him on a show. And she was explaining to the audience, this is the most humble man I've ever met. Because when he was getting dressed backstage, he asked my producers, what's the topic of today's discussion? And they were like, it's you. And he's like, oh, me? You guys want to talk about me? And a lot of celebrities and just even people, South Africans, have been being interviewed, and they're on KPBS and all over the news stations, and they all have commented on his sense of humility. That even though he's one of the world's most prolific leaders, such a gracious and kind and humble person. And I think that's a really great testament to having that at that level of leadership. I don't really think that's often something that we really get to talk about. We talk about someone's, maybe their drive or ambition, but also just their caliber of character. So being able to go out and literally change the world and still be able to have a conversation with a common person, I just think that's so profound. Just incredible.
You brought up a really very interesting point on understanding his surroundings. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, so right when Nelson was elected as president, which first off in its own right was a huge movement forward after the ending of apartheid. And rugby is a huge cultural sport. And it was also something that was really kind of elitist, that only Afrikaans, so white South Africans, were kind of privy to. And so he actually went out and rallied with all of the South African people of color and asked them to wear this jersey for the upcoming rugby match against Australia, which was going to be the whole world was going to be watching. And so when all of these people who, this jersey used to symbolize segregation, turmoil, and just the kind of abandonment of civil rights, they were all honing this jersey. It was a huge, huge thing. So he really knew, how powerful that sport was for his culture. He knew how important that game was going to be for the world and for his country. And he knew how much it would mean for him to be there as well. So he was wearing this jersey, and he came up to the rugby team right before they were playing, and the rugby players were saying they were so amazed that he was even there. He couldn't believe that, the world's most important South African is actually here to cheer us on, when this game used to be the exact symbol of his oppression.